G'day everyone, welcome to another CSBP Fertilisers Market Update. I'm Johnston and joined as ever by our Sales Strategy and Reliability Manager, Ben Sudlow. Hello Ben.
G'day Gray, how are you?
I'm very well. As ever, we'll start with what's going on in global markets, and there has been a bit going on. Please let us know what's been happening.
A couple of things. Firstly, talk about urea. The urea market was probably trending up slightly. What happened during the week was Egypt had gas supply problems. Now Egypt supply just under 400,000 tonnes to the export market every month. As the week went on, gas curtailments came in, plants started to shut, and then there was a time, I think it was 2 days ago, so what's that, Wednesday, where most of the urea plants in Egypt were off, and that caused a bit of a immediate panic of holy moly, what's going to go on? Will this clearly impact supply, which it in theory will? And then the market reacted very quickly and went straight to price in Egypt, and then that knocked on to other origins like the Middle East, which is the most relevant index to Australia.
So as we've been following your prognostications over the last couple of months, you've been mentioning that as time goes on, ship purchases are getting later and later and then less relevant to WA. Are those price movements you talked about relevant?
Yeah, prognostication, I'm not sure I was doing that, Gray, but I was doing something. What it does mean, I think in sort of dollar terms, we've been sort of speaking about that in recent times. Prices in the Middle East are up about $15 week on week. And from the lows, which now is probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, the market's up around $65 a tonne. The relevance to our market, if the market starts buying at those levels, clearly that's going to put pressure onto retail pricing in the local market. There's no doubt about that.
Now, at this time of year, we also start thinking about next season, particularly in the context of the end of financial year type offers that are in the marketplace, and people might be thinking about phosphates. There's been a bit of movement in phosphate pricing on the global markets as well.
Yeah, so we do get some demand for people to want to forward price into next cropping season and then start sort of focusing their mind on what that's been. Phosphate prices in the main have drifted down, and it caught my eye this week when one of the forecasters put out their notification to the market about what was going on, and I think the headline said something like DAP and MAP prices forecasters changed to the upside based on firmer sentiment or something along those lines, and clearly the prices have on that basis have gone, their view have come off the near-term bottom, and their view of the future is slightly more firm than what it's been before. So that sort of gives some indication about where pricing is now, and their view about the future is probably firmer than what it was even 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. And then you may not have been prognosticating as it relates to price, but just sharing relevant information from the market, but you certainly have been sharing a view of how physical supply is coming into WA and how, as you framed it the other week, execution mode is shaping up.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a bit more about what's happened in the last week or so in the physical market?
Yeah, and look, what I spoke about last week, and this is, look, the rainfall is really critical. And when we last spoke, it was Wednesday, we had a little bit of rain, we had the rain last weekend, and then we had the rain last night, being Thursday night. And look, there's prospect of rain coming this week as well. So that's been fantastic for our growers. What the other side of that is bringing ships in, and what happened last weekend as we went into execution mode is that the Fremantle Port chose in Kwinana to, for reasons of weather, to close the port down for unloading on Friday, Saturday and Sunday as that large front came through. You think in that alone, what does that mean? It means that three days of lost as far as unloading. And look, there's some chance if the weather gets bad over this coming weekend as this next front comes through, that they may close the port down for another day over this coming weekend. So if you add that 4 days, all the ships waiting to come in, it's not just fertiliser ships, there's every other ship that wants to get through the port at the moment. 5 days, 6 days gets added on, all the ships line up. And then when you eventually get on the berth, you may not be able to unload it because your ship holds are open. You've got to close them, and you can't get the product off anyway. We have been lucky this week. We had a ship on last weekend. We couldn't unload it. We've been loading urea through Kwinana during the week this week. Hopefully, if we get a clear run over the weekend, that'll continue through, and that ship will be fully unloaded. So in Kwinana, we're okay for now, but the next 3 weeks across the whole market looks challenging to get product through Kwinana particularly.
And at our country locations, we've also been bringing urea vessels in there?
Yeah, so we're unloading in Esperance now. We've got good stocks therefore in Esperance. We've got Gelton pretty well covered, and we should have Albany pretty well covered. I think we've got a ship there during next week. So Kwinana a little more challenging, but thankfully we've got stock in over the last week. The other ports look pretty good for now.
And in terms of then space in the appointment book, it sounds like we're in a reasonably good stock position at all relevant locations, and we got opportunity to get it out the door.
Yeah, little doubt. I mean, our appointments for nitrogen products have absolutely ramped up in the last 4 days of this week. We're now opening some locations over the weekends to meet the demand, and we expect next week, should the weather clear up and the truckies and farmers want to come and get product, the next week will be a big week as well. So look, we're pretty well priced as we sit here today, Gray.
Pleased to hear that, Ben, and I'm hopefully all you out there in fertiliser world are pleased to hear that as well. Thank you, Ben, for joining us again.
Cheers, Gray.
And see you all out there. Bye-bye.
See ya.
This podcast is provided as general information only. The content of this podcast is not a recommendation and has been prepared without taking your objectives or circumstances into account. Before acting on the content of this, you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances and seek independent advice.